A lot of unbelievable stuff has happened to Oliver Anthony this summer.
Called me a one-hit wonder.
He got famous for his working class song Rich Men North of Richmond.
I really just wrote the song for me.
But something else crazy happened to him. Shockingly, Oliver got trapped at this year's Burning Man festival. But why was Oliver even at a festival that caters to rich influencers and hippies? Listen closely, because the real truth about Oliver's Burning Man scandal is unbelievable. Oliver's presence at Burning Man was surprising for many reasons, but to truly understand what happened and why people were so shocked, we have to go back to Oliver's humble beginnings. The most shocking thing about Oliver's success is just how quickly it actually happened. Sources with inside knowledge love to spill shocking details about Oliver, like how he was living a cheap lifestyle in a camper van that he bought off an ad on Craigslist, or how he fractured his skull in 2013 during a factory shift he was working in North Carolina. One really famous guy helped Oliver go viral this past summer. This is crazy. But when Joe Rogan had Hulk Hogan on episode 2024 of his podcast, Joe started talking about this redheaded guy who wrote a song and recorded it in his backyard.
Do you know the story of Oliver Anthony?
Like many of us, Hulk didn't know who Oliver was just about a month ago, so Joe got into Oliver's unbelievable story. Oliver wasn't just poor, he also had a life-threatening problem with substances. Oliver hit rock bottom in the last few years, and shockingly, he considered ending it all. But then Joe revealed inside knowledge of how Oliver pulled through this devastating time in his life. According to Joe, Oliver put his entire faith in God. Allegedly, he told God that he would dedicate his life to his faith if God helped to straighten out his life. And allegedly, within 1 month, Oliver had gotten clean, and his independently released music videos received tens of millions of views. Just 1 week after Oliver released a song in August, he gained 800,000 new followers across social media, and 3 of his songs about working class issues and social welfare held the top 3 spots on iTunes. If that's not overnight success, what is? Within days, Oliver was playing concerts to adoring crowds. Not only did they cheer, but these new fans also knew every word to Rich Men North of Richmond. But then the problem started for Oliver. His hit song got picked up by controversial politicians, including the polarizing right-wing figure Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oliver didn't like how some people were allegedly misinterpreting what he was trying to say, and worse, he got caught up in the controversy too. Critics began to throw shade at Oliver online. There were so many crazy sides to the story. Negative messages began spilling out online about rich men north of Richmond. People were saying that Oliver's song was not an ode to the working class. Someone said it promoted fat phobia, and someone else said that Oliver's song blamed the poor for milking the system. The Independent threw major shade at Oliver. They asked why Republican anthems have to be as terrible as Oliver Anthony's viral hit, Rich Men North of Richmond. Oliver tried to set the record straight, but he failed miserably, and you won't believe why.
I mean, we are the melting pot of the world, and that's what makes us strong, is our diversity.
Oliver was being interviewed by a Fox News correspondent. He was explaining his middle-of-the-road viewpoint on politics and diversity in America, and while the conservatives didn't like that, they were more interested in throwing shade at Oliver for not having a southern accent. By this point, everyone was getting confused about who Oliver was exactly and what he stands for. And this brings us to Oliver's most recent controversy, the 2023 Burning Man Festival that happened at the end of August. Burning Man is held in the Nevada desert, but this year, the festival site in Black Rock City received a month of rain in just a couple days. 70,000 people got stranded in what some spectators called a massive mud bath. People stuck at the festival were told to seek shelter in their tents and preserve their food and water. That's crazy, since Burning Man is notorious for being a rich person's music festival. People fly in from all over the world to attend Burning Man. But some famous faces decided to walk for miles in the mud just to hitch a ride and escape this waterlogged festival. That's Chris Rock and Diplo. So the last person you might expect to attend would be Oliver. Shockingly, Oliver did allegedly show up at Burning Man, and you won't believe how he got caught up in another controversy. Oliver was scheduled to appear on a podcast on Sunday, August 27th, but he canceled at the last minute. The podcast host read out an email that was allegedly from Oliver, and the host said that Oliver was still hoping to make it onto the podcast, but the conditions at Burning Man sounded pretty bad. The podcast host sounded sympathetic and concerned, but the negative comments online blew up. On Twitter, commenters threw major shade at Oliver. Someone wondered how Oliver could afford to go to the expensive Burning Man festival if he's such a working man's hero, while someone else called it a funny development. Because Oliver wrote a song criticizing rich men, and he ended up stuck in the mud with the same guys he was writing about. Although one person thought there was a conspiracy within the controversy, they wrote that they needed proof that Oliver was actually at Burning Man, since the only evidence was an alleged email read by the podcast host that claimed Oliver was there. Shockingly, Oliver finally finally spoke up with his side of the story. He talked to Newsweek, and Oliver admitted that he was at Burning Man. But Oliver also said something crazy. He alleged that he wasn't a spectator at Burning Man. Listen closely, because you won't believe this. Oliver told Newsweek that he was filming a music video at Burning Man, and he alleged that he wasn't there to participate in the BS. Oliver also threw shade at a former member of his team. He said that this former employee leaked the information to the podcast host, and the information was allegedly taken out of context. It seems like Oliver can't catch a break from his critics after catching the biggest break of his life as a musician. But one guy is still firmly in Oliver's corner, and you won't believe the shocking conversation between Joe and Oliver on episode 2027 of the Joe Rogan Experience. Many people were surprised when Oliver showed up on Joe's podcast, even though Joe was a huge part of Oliver's overnight success in the first place. Joe wanted Oliver's side of the story on how he overcame life-threatening depression. Oliver said he couldn't speak for everybody, but for him, it wasn't like he wanted to end his own life. Shockingly, Oliver told Joe that he always wanted to keep trying to fight, and he always hoped to get out of whatever he found himself in. But Oliver and Joe also got into the backlash that Oliver is facing.
The internet's just such a rowdy place.
And Joe mentioned how Oliver gets labeled
right-wing, left-wing fanatic.
Joe had some advice for Oliver. He told him that he doesn't have to listen to anybody. Of course, Joe threw in some expletives too, and he told Oliver that he can do whatever he wants. And when Oliver played some of his hit songs for Joe, he even called Oliver's music the new authentic. But anyway, what do you guys think about all this? What do you think about all of Oliver's recent controversies? Do you believe he faked his accent? Do you think his songs are political? And do you agree with politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene? How about Oliver going to Burning Man and saying he wasn't a spectator? Was Oliver being a hypocrite, or was he telling the truth? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.